Getting straight to the point, I'm designing a Truth and Inference A tier for Mike. Now you might be thinking, oh yeah. Mike already has a Truth and Inference skin. He's got Sparrow from the Golden Ropes Theatre. And I know, but I feel like making him an A tier because if Mary can have an A tier and an S tier, I can give Mike another skin. On the topic of Sparrow though, you might be wondering, hey, wouldn't that mean they're the same person? The answer is maybe. You see, a character may have multiple costumes, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're all the same person. For example, DM actually has like a bazillion different skins to represent his disguises, and Lady Truth actually has an S tier disguise and a B tier disguise, and you can see them here on the crusty old concept page. Tracy and Mary also have multiple costumes, but they are established to be different people. See how Lady Truth's concept art lists her other skins beside her, but the Lockhart skin doesn't include Smarty Pants, also known as Tracy's other Truth and Inference skin. That to me implies that they're different people. For this costume, I'm going to be saying that Sparrow and this fancy A tier are different characters. However, it isn't impossible for them to be the same person. It's really up to you. He's going to be working in the detective agency like Lady Truth, Mr. Inference, White, and Paranormal Detective, but he's going to be using his chemistry skills to his advantage. We all know that Mike utilizes his knowledge of chemistry to create exciting juggling balls, which in-game are used to give different effects and to impact the hunter. But in this universe, he will put these skills to good use as a forensic scientist, who is basically a dude who looks at physical clues like fingerprints or hair samples, blood samples, all that kind of stuff, and researches them to expand the group's understanding of the crime and to grasp leads that can uncover the truth. In order for this concept sketch to come to life, we need references. Looking at the IDV wiki will show us that a lot of characters in the agency have this sort of like plaid, very Sherlock Holmes vintage detective style about them. Lady Truth, Mr. Inference, and the Chinese exclusive Norton skin, I think it's called the Puzzler, all have that kind of same similar outfit sort of feel. You know, they have the same general aesthetic. And even White has been drawn in an outfit like this, meaning we'll probably have to whip one up for Mike too. Once we've grabbed our references, we'll think about the next step. See you then. Okay, we've gathered references and we've got a naked Mike to work with. I've put the sped up footage here so that you can see how the ideas have changed over time. Ever since I collected my reference images, I knew I didn't want to give Mike a suit or a lab coat because these options seemed way too fancy for him. In another universe, it could work, but for Truth and Inference, it just felt a little off. And there's not much you can do with a lab coat or a suit. They're pretty boring articles of clothing when we're trying to carry a message across. Back in the day, if you had a suit, you would always wear it because it separates you from the people who didn't have them. And if I put Mike in a suit, it could easily confuse anyone looking at his design into thinking he's like a rich man with a business, or an actor, or some other huge job. Suits, scientists, and cheerful personalities are a hard thing to blend. So, I decided to give him a waistcoat. It's a cute and neat alternative to a suit, looking formal but still having the potential to look more casual. I gave him these long sleeves at first to emphasize the slightly fancy look and to keep him safe in the lab, and to hopefully push him a little bit closer to the fanciness of the other Truth and Inference designs. However, he once again looked a little bit too formal? Is that the right term? His clothes didn't reflect his cheerful personality, so I made his tie crooked and made sure his shirt wasn't properly tucked in. This made him seem more carefree and gave a pinch of silliness and playfulness to his design. I then rolled up his sleeves and gave him a pair of gloves. The gloves let people know that he's touching something that needs to be handled carefully, like samples, and his outfit is actually quite similar to the scientist shown in the black and white reference photo. However, by rolling up his sleeves, it makes him look a little bit more hardworking and maybe a little bit silly. It also reveals his burns he received in the circus fire, which is telling his story in a more visual way, and I just think that's interesting. His design looked very plain without a hat, so I experimented with different kinds. This was honestly a pretty silly move from my end because these hats paired with the satchel that I gave him later on made him look a lot like a newsboy or something rather than a scientist. But I wasn't going for a super professional scientist look anyway, so perhaps it fits. I ended up giving him this newsboy cap. I finally added his anniversary badge, which I labelled with the number 5 for the upcoming 5th anniversary. And then came colouring. I gave him a yellow vest in the beginning because yellow is a bright and sunny colour typically associated with happiness and friendliness, and that reminded me of Mike. I patterned the vest with something. It's not quite plaid, is it? But I did this to make him look more similar to the other detectives and because his shirt was plain. For a clean looking design, you typically only pattern either the shirt or the waistcoat because if you add patterns to both, it looks super complicated and it's hard on the eyes. To contrast the yellow waistcoat, I gave him a cute blue tie to match with his eyes. I really struggled with the different shades of brown in his pants, cap and satchel, but I eventually got them to work with different hues and whatnot. The gloves also later became white because that reminds you more of a lab and cleanliness and lab gloves. I don't know. But then I realised that there was an awful lot of yellow on Mike's design and I swapped the vest and tie's colours around, which balanced it out a lot more. I wondered what colour to make the pencil stuck behind his ear. I tried making it black to balance out his shoes, but it was too dark. Yellow blended right in with his hair, and I imagined blue would also unbalance the design. So I went with red. All 3 primary colours. Wow! I snuck tiny red ruby accents onto the anniversary badge to help the pencil feel less out of place. I provided the same balance for the shoes by adding black buttons on the cuffs of Mike's sleeves. Finally, I coloured his effects and very quickly designed his bombs because I forgot to do that. And voila, we're finished. At the end of the day, I'm very proud of this design. Does it live up to the rest of the Truth and Inference skins? Probably not. Would people actually buy this skin in a package that's easily over $100? Probably not, unless you're a hardcore collector. But I am happy regardless. My friend said that simplicity was key, and I think I did my best. He blends in just enough. I may design him an S-tier accessory in the future, considering all Truth and Inference package skins have them. What do you think? Thank you for joining me and helping me design this skin. I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. Psst! Hey! If you're still here, thanks for watching all the way up to the end. I'm proud of you. This video is longer than usual, which is why it's here up on YouTube instead of on Twitter. I wanted to try something new by recording every part of my process, and I appreciate you taking the time to check out this kind of new attempt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.